Last week I presented to you over £500 I spent on in-season cards ready for next season. Check it out if you haven't already. But today we're looking at over 10 teams I have in my account ready to reward from boxes in the Classic Champion competitions. Starting with my EPL Classic teams, I have a bunch of Everton players here. Pickford probably slots into my in-season team, but if he doesn't, he shepherds a lineup of Tarkowski, Garner, McNeil and Mykolenko. I mean, not really a great stack in any sense of the word. McNeil has shown he can grab decisives for Everton from time to time, but deep down, we all know he is a real-life footballing terrorist, a verified fraud. And then I've got this Fulham stack where I think they could be in really big trouble this season. I genuinely think they've got a good shot to be relegated from the Prem. Muniz was on a bit of a hot streak last season, but I'm not sure how capable he is of maintaining that into the start of the new season. I think he was only second to Haaland in the second half of the season in a lot of key forward stats, so fingers crossed he can keep that going. But most importantly, Fulham's Rock Paulinho has departed to Bayern. That's going to be a huge loss for them, but for me, potentially a big gain, as my classic Paulinho card now fits nicely into my top classic Bundesliga stack. The forward spot is definitely the iffy option here with new Stuttgart man Dennis Undav coming in. He replaces Grassi at Stuttgart. Where Undav himself, I feel like he never truly had the chance to show what he could do at Brighton, so I think this is a good move for everyone involved. And Undav is in that team alongside Julian Brandt in the extra spot and Mittelstadt of Stuttgart at the back. And I've spoke about Mittelstadt and Paulinho in last week's video, as I have in-season cards for both of them, leaving Julian Brandt as the final piece of the puzzle. And for me, I highly rate Julian Brandt. I think he is a borderline world-class player, no hyperbole in that sentence. He's always sort of been stuck in that perception of being a middling or luxury player, but looking at his SO5 scores, and you can't be too upset with them. If he starts, you can reasonably expect a mid-50 performance before any decisives, which, looking at those dark greens here, we can see he picks up them in good quantity, being a key man in that Dortmund attack, who spent heavily in this latest window with that Grassi, as I mentioned. So hopefully that opens up more opportunities for decisives from my man Julian Brandt. I also then have this Wolfsburg stack, which I truly fucking, hate. I seriously hate this team with a passion. If I was in a room with this Wolfsburg stack and Adolf Hitler, and I just, I had a gun, and I had 2 bullets in that gun, and I could use those 2 bullets to shoot, so I wouldn't shoot any of them. Wolfsburg stack is all NFTs, right? You can't shoot NFTs. It's just not possible. And Hitler, I'm pretty sure he's dead. I haven't done the maths on that, but yeah, I have. He's over 100. I don't think he's surviving that. And it's not that I don't want to shoot Hitler. It's not like I'm a Hitler fan or anything. I wouldn't even know his birthday's April 20th. I just wouldn't know that because I'm such not a Hitler fan. But you just probably leave the room instead. Where did I even get a gun from? That's the real question. Limited level in the La Liga then is a bit trickier for me. It was one of the harder leagues to scout for, as there aren't really loads of standout options, bar your obvious Vinny Juniors and Bellinghams from the top teams and so forth, but they cost an arm and a leg to acquire, and I'll be honest, I'm quite fond of my arm and leg. I would like to keep them intact to my torso, so I will do such a thing. And my top team here is strong. I think I've got Ramiro, Koundé, Valverde, Rodrigo and Rafinha. Unsure if Rafinha will stay at Barcelona, but with Felix going, perhaps he can lock in a starting spot and post some decisives for this team. Rodrigo's another one who's obviously a top player, right? But he often remains in the shadow of Vinny Jr. and now Mbappe in that Real Madrid team. His scores are okay, but he can go on barren runs without a decisive, and his AA scores are never going to be too reliable, of course. And a bit similar with Valverde, right? He's got a mixture of yellow and green across the board. He seemed to have a spell about a year and a half ago where he seemed unstoppable, or like he was one of the best players on the planet. And I just want him to get back to that, because his SO5 performances have definitely petered out a bit. And I have no idea who this Peter fella is, but I would ask him not to fuck around with my players' SO5 scores, please, you fucking dick. And then a Real Betis stack in the second spot with some Conference League utility there also being a good option to have in the midweek fixtures. The defence is definitely the weak spot here now that Juan Miranda has moved on. Unsure who will be the final piece of the puzzle there, but a key part of this team is relying on Jose Perez, who has actually now moved to Villarreal, so this isn't even a full Real Betis stack anymore. I'm sure his team will come through from time to time, with my bottom run-of-the-mill team in the La Liga being a mixed bag of what I have left. Unai Simon is injured in any case for a few months, right? So that's certainly not ideal, as I'm going to have to get a replacement in if I want to get this team out. The last Palmas duo are mid-scorers at best. It's then a case of whether Tiskankov, can prop up this team a bit here with some decisives back for Girona to allow me to win some low-tier cards. In Division 5, I don't really care too much about this fucking team. There's a couple of mid to strong teams across the whole thing here, right? But that's just from the leagues. Where does this leave the rest of my account in terms of the champion competition itself? Well, I've managed to get 3 teams out, and 3 teams I am moderately happy with, starting with the top team, Liga and EPL mix. Of course, 2 key players of Manchester Red and Arsenal in Bruno Fernandes and Declan Rice. I don't know why I keep saying these fucking players' names weird. It's just a thing I'm doing, I guess. It then all relies upon the PSG duo of Nuno Mendes and Barcola. Mendes obviously returning from a long-term injury last season, but he did secure a Euro spot for Portugal despite this, where he performed pretty decently, I would say, so I'm sure he'll come through and start banging out those top scores again. It's then whether Barcola can step up in Mbappe's absence. He of course won't be able to directly replace Mbappe and replicate the numbers he managed to pump out. If Barcola can lock down a starting spot in that PSG team, he's shown he's capable of getting good scores, and I'm sure the decisives will follow. I've then got an Inter Milan stack that makes up the second entry with Bastoni, Çalhanoğlu, Martinez and Thuram, 4 key players in Inter's title win last season. They fucking romped it. Just a bit surprised there wasn't more transfer interest and speculation around Martinez this past transfer window. For me, he's fucking world class, and I'm very happy to have him leading the line here with a strong goalkeeping option in Milinkovic-Savic behind them. The final team we will look at today, yes, don't worry everyone, we're almost fucking done. Certainly not a team to turn your nose up in any case. It's a Lyon stack, and after an abysmal first half of the season last year, they then went on the run of their lives to secure a Europa League spot, which would have been unthought of at one point. I'm pretty sure they were languishing in the relegation zone at Christmas, so hey, good for you, Lyon. For me, Kakure is then the pivotal player here. He had conflicting scores across the last season, but when he is on form, he is fucking on form. He's one of the best passers in the league, and his AA score certainly reflects that. If he can hit those ceilings on a more regular basis, and Lyon can get back to challenging for Europe instead of being fucking shit for half a year, then I'm sure this is a bottom entry team that should be competing for rewards. And there's lots of midweek utility with all of these players as well, not just in that Lyon team, but all the other teams I showed you. So that's certainly great to have those options throughout the sober calendar year. It's exciting. European League football is back, and my teams are ready. I want those rewards. I want those boxes. I want that fucking essence. And fingers crossed all of these teams can help me achieve my wildest and tamest Sorare dreams. Of farming reward boxes that contain 5 essence and 3 arena tickets. So that's the dream, and I'll catch you next time because I fucking love you.